Salam, this is Joan. The tape today is covering a subject that's God's will. The term for that in Arabic is Mashiach. And I wanted to mention information about my progress as a Muslim and what God does decide, which I am zeroing in on being peace and communication. Again, I'm mixing Baha'i and Muslim information. So I'm going to start with a prayer. It's from Surah 97. Allah, the night you arrive is better than 1,000 other months before. Blessed are angels and the Holy Spirit sent to handle anything in all matters. Help us during our decision making, for we know that we are not to will anything except what you do. And that prayer is from the Quran on Clear Guidance, Book 9 and verse 51. So I've been a Muslim now for 2 years. I said Shahada September 14th, 2023. And what I've been doing with that is I have been consistent with the 5 prayers daily, fasting, and monthly charity, which I tried to do for poor people. They weren't getting clean food, and I was giving help to about 15. I started learning information about Tajweed and started summaries in English. And then when I'm more confident, I want to do it in Arabic. I've covered about 15 to 21 books and learned the 40 hadiths plus more. I've been trying to keep laws. I counted 8 of them that I'm doing. And then I removed 2 sins. I'm working on everything. What I have down for peace, and this one is from the Quran again. It's that Allah invites all to a house of peace and guides whoever He wills to a straight path. Those who do choose good and kindness will have the finest reward, even more. And then also in communication as part of what God wills us to have, it goes on to say that neither gloom nor disgrace will cover a show on their faces, and they will be then residents of a heaven and be in that forever. Then that was a Korean, and this is Baha'i information, which talks about peace. Now that we have given or offered it, you have refused the most great peace, which is non-substance and no hatred being taught. You hold fast to this. The lesser peace, which is political unity, is summarized as that happily you may, in some degree, better the conditions of the world for yourselves' independence. And that was initiated by Mirza Hussein Ali. So again, the lesser peace that the Baha'is are offering is to support your own country's government and end war. That if any discussion on it happens, we are to offer peace instead. And that applies to arms being discussed. Also, it's offering a holy government, which is beyond just the political peace, but a social one with no racial hatred, and it's an end to substance and addiction. And then I did want to also talk about Gaza, where there's fighting, and currently they're saying that no Jewish hostages have been returned, that deals are being discussed, that the U.S. President Trump has offered a 21-point peace plan, which he's presented, 20-day ceasefire. And Hamas is saying that if intensified warfare happens during that time, it will end in the hope for the deal happening. And there are listed 48 Israeli hostages being held. And then it goes on to say, but 20 are expected to be alive. Hamas has had 30,000 that have been killed, and that the counts that are given include both military and civilians. Then I have some more verses. This is on God's will. God's will is that we enjoy life and that He has given us 5 powers, agents of perception. These are sight, hearing, audible sound, smell, perceiving, and that's when we're able to be warned through our senses. We have taste and touch. And to open this paper up, this was written up by Abdul Baha. I do want to say that as far as communication, and I got this from Al Overview, the Korean encourages to speak to each other kindly, truthfully, justly, and gently, while warning against lies, harmful speech, and excessive talking. God wills, again, that we enjoy life. And this is from Abdul Baha, who was an Iranian. The senses part. And the one last quote is, I want the world to be happy, to laugh, smile, and rejoice in order that others may be made happy by us and the information. And then my last tape, I discussed how many houses of worship are being made for Baha'is, and now I'm going to cover Muslims because we are all worshiping Allah. There are 4 million mosques in the world, and there are 2,769 in the United States. I'm in Florida. The count is 111. So that was interesting information. I did want to mention that Gaza is in famine now. There are 576,000 people. They need nutritious food and water. That was verified August of this year, and they're experiencing starvation. So please give to the World Food Program, WFP.org, Palestine, to help them. And this is another Korean verse. It's from Book 9, verse 51. And we are not, again, to will anything but what God does want us to have. The purpose of life listed by Baha'is is to know and worship God, contribute to the betterment of society. And the purpose of life with Islam's information is to worship Allah, develop a strong moral character, serve humanity, and prepare to meet God. And I'm going to make sure that I've covered everything on my papers I wanted to. The last quote here by Mirza Hussein Ali Nuri is that he bestows on us communication, the power of utterances, so that we may also make mention of him. And I wanted to talk about how, beyond all that, God gives us facial expression, which to me proves there's a God, that we're not, life didn't come from rocks and gas. It's just not capable of it. Such as when I was married, I was able, after being around my husband for a while, to know by looking at him if something was wrong when he walked through the door. And the Quran talks about how God gives us this expression in Book 55, verse 33 to 4. He created man and taught him clear expression. And some of those is that we can see when someone's puzzled, revealing fear, pride, or wisdom, just any problem. But sometimes we cover that up and make a poker face. So I also wanted to talk about facial spasms because I started to have these. The first time I experienced one, it was at the end of my divorce to my first husband. And it was an eye twitch. I was afraid it would go away and that it would embarrass me if the public saw. But that did go away. However, I began getting more facial spasms when I remarried. It was like an earthquake all over my face with uncontrollable crying. So I did get a divorce. And recently in September, I'm going through the same thing. There's terms for it. There's a full face facial spasm and a half face one. It says that the half side of the face is more serious, and it's caused by an involuntary muscle pushing on a nerve. However, that it is affected by medical conditions and depression. But I was noticing that I was thinking about sin when mine started twitching. So, also, some interesting facts on that is that it's rare to have, and 9 to 11% worldwide of the population have it. Women are getting the facial spasms more often than men, and that's a 14 to 7 issue. They said that the underlying health problems are aneurysms, tumors, and strokes. I did want to mention that I had a housing move, and I'm housed but worried about the future and just thankful for what I do have.